welcome back to our book talk segment today. Great to welcome a woman who's written a very interesting book, very helpful as well. It's called A Radical Awakening. Turn pain into power, embrace your truth, and live free. We're joined today by Dr. Shefali, and she joined us by telephone, I believe, from up in New York today. And Doctor, good to talk with you. How are you?
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I had a chance to read through the book. Now, I got to say, as a guy, what I know about women, as most men know about women, it could probably fit on a piece of confetti. So I learned something. So thank you.
Oh, I'm glad you did. You're a brave man.
Well, this is kind of in a sense, a little bit autobiographical, of things that you kind of went through personally, and obviously a lot of women go through the same kind of questions you had and about their life. So it's kind of autobiographical a little bit, right?
A little bit. A lot of it is based on my work as a clinician. I'm a clinical psychologist, so
Right.
I work with hundreds of women. I teach hundreds of courses. So it's both based on my own inner insights about myself, but also about so many women that I have worked with.
I should say Dr. Shefali wrote the bestsellers Conscious Parent and The Awakened Family. So those books are very popular and very helpful as well. But what kind of brought you to writing this book at this particular time?
Yeah, my previous work has been in the fields of conscious parenting, and this one is more about the conscious awakening of women who want to really unshackle themselves from the indoctrination from childhood, messages of unworthiness, of perfectionism, and really feel more connected to who it is they are. Especially after the pandemic, so many women have come to me realizing that they don't have a deep sense of connection to themselves. They've lost their direction. They don't want to simply robotically check off the prescription list. And this is for that woman who is daring enough to want to really awaken to her truest inner sovereignty and her liberation.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the last year and a half or so, you probably, obviously, you just mentioned, you've seen a lot of women a lot of men too, I imagine too, but a lot of women that I guess they're working from home, or if they weren't working from home, they're just a different life in the last year that added a lot to probably what they were going through, right? It made it more difficult.
Yeah, I think we're going through a global awakening, and only few, of course, will go through the portal of the actual transformation it requires. But I think women are at the helm of that awakening. And so many women have come to me because of that loss of connection and a great desire to return, quote unquote, to normal with a renewed sense of who it is they are. And this book really lays the pathway toward that radical awakening of how they can blossom into their greatest knowing and into their greatest inner power.
You mentioned the word disconnection. Disconnection from maybe the workforce or family, or is it a kind of encompass everything?
Well, I hope the pandemic and the trauma that it's brought about and the stillness that it could have afforded has allowed us to really stop and reevaluate who it is we are. So when I say disconnection, we were already disconnected. We were already leading manic lives of endless distraction.
Right.
If anything, the pandemic has stopped that. So, but we don't know who we are. So now we're like, okay, I don't know who my partner is. I don't really like my children around 24/7. And I'm feeling really disconnected. But now we don't have any of those distractions to avoid what we're feeling. And that's why this can be a really powerful portal to go deeper. So if your listeners are listening and they're going, yeah, I don't know why I've been feeling extra frustrated or extra tired or extra apathetic. It's because we were so busy, caught up in the busyness of life, that we kind of disconnected from the rails toward our own inner self. And now we're being forced back to go on that train track, and we don't know how to. So this is an opportunity to use this moment of global awakening as a portal to our inner awakening.
Yeah, I guess in a sense, you're just going through the motions rather than until the last year and a half, and that kind of put a halt to everything. And now getting back into that, a lot of people, not just women, I guess, but women, men and women, are saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe I can do something to change my life. Is that kind of the attitude?
Yes. Sometimes it takes trauma. Sometimes it takes a great deal of pain for us to go, you know what, I've lost that. I lost that. What have I got to lose? Let me now really make a shift in my personal life.
Yeah. I know you talk about it in the book. What would you say is the biggest fear? I mean, you talk about fear that women have. Is there one particular, or is it kind of a little bit of here, job, family, relationships? I guess all three of those fit into that, right?
Yeah, it's more an emotional fear. It's the fear of being rejected, fear of not being good enough, fear of not fitting in, fear of ostracism, fear of invalidation. These are emotional fears that drive every other fear. All our life is being driven by emotional fears. So this book, A Radical Awakening, really speaks to understanding what fears are driving you, and then what you can do about it, where they come from, and how there is a way to transcend our fears. But we don't even know how to do that because we don't even believe the fears are beneath all our dysfunction. We just blame the children or blame the partner, and we don't realize that it's us underneath being driven by the jugular of fear that creates all the external chaos.
Right. And again, you talk in the book about the stereotypes, obviously, have been around for hundreds of years, I guess, right? Single mother, or if the woman doesn't have any children, or the divorced woman, a lot of things women deal with that I would imagine men don't deal with, at least as emotional as women do. So these are things you talk about in the book, and women really have problems with these things, right? Just kind of getting over those stereotypes.
Right. We are really the vessels of all this social stigma and pressure, and we are falling sick by it. And we women need to say no more. Hey, I don't need to live with all this pressure, all this fear, all this stigmatization that culture puts on women way more than men. And this book is not an angry cry, but an awakening cry to say it's time for us to change the paradigm for our own lives.
And you give, obviously, from your own life and some very helpful anecdotes and examples as well in the book, and you went through this yourself. You talk about it in the book. So you were very successful in your career, but even you went through this, right? I mean, it's not just people that maybe haven't achieved in their career yet. It could be any level of where you are, right? For this awakening I'm talking about.
Right. Right. I mean, all of us are literally. It doesn't matter how successful you are, have layers of awakening to go through. Most of the populace is asleep in the matrix, as I call the first part. And it doesn't matter how rich you are or how tall you are. It's about consciousness. And if your consciousness has been asleep, it doesn't matter how many cars are in your driveway. So this is not about any form-based external achievement. It's about internal awakening and inner liberation.
A Radical Awakening, Turn Pain into Power, Embrace Your Truth, and Live Free is the full title of the book. And we've been talking with Dr. Shefali. Hopefully we gave the audience just enough where they want to go out and get the book. Doctor, do you have a website you want to direct people to?
Yes, they can go get the book at aradicalawakening.com.
Great. We'll also put a link on our site as well. But Dr. Shefali, pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again. And thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.